hey, gold is setting records, and are you out there getting some? I'm making plans, and I wanted to talk to you about preparing for the gold season and getting out and prospecting. You know, now, at least in my area, because we're kind of far north, you know, we had snow like a few days ago, but we're still getting a little bit of negative weather, but it soon is going to be beautiful, and there's beautiful days interspersed. I'm actually heading out day after tomorrow to go get some more gold. I was out last week, and I just wanted to talk to you about that because I know that for me, it takes time, it takes planning and effort and putting things on the calendar. I swear that if I don't plan a day to get out or a week to get out or times to get out and go prospecting, what happens is, oh, people are coming over, or my kids need me to help them with something, or, you know, there's something around the house that breaks, or just something happens, and I don't have any time to actually get out and do the digging and prospecting. And I want to get out and do that. So I find it's necessary to like mark stuff on the calendar. Oh, this day I'm gonna be out, or this week, or these weekends, you know, long weekends, I'm gonna be out prospecting, I'm gonna be out digging, you know, because if you don't get out, it isn't gonna just leap into your pocket while you're sitting on the couch, right? Now, last year I had a great season. I found a new patch. You know, I got gold in a number of places, but you know, the two big things I found is I found a pocket in the Nevada desert. Now, I wasn't really prepared to dig in hard rock, right? I wasn't prepared to, and I found this pocket on the surface, and you know, I got 4 grams of gold out of it, which, you know, the 4 grams is nothing to sneeze at. At today's prices, that's, you know, like $450, that's a lot of gold. But there's still targets in the ground that were in the rock, and I need chisels and picks. And we're actually going to bring up a little electric jackhammer, and we're going to be able to open up some of that rock and get down to that. This district is famous for producing some really rich pockets, and they got nice stuff, and there's still stuff in the ground, in the rock. And so I'm going to bring the equipment out that's necessary to get into that. That was one great find that I did last year. And then the other thing, and who knows what I'll get out of it. I mean, I could get literally pounds out of that stuff. So, but it might only be another 4 grams. You just never know until you dig in and find out. The other thing I did is I found a new patch in an area that I'd worked a bunch before, just a nugget patch. Not a hard rock pocket type thing, a nugget patch, and I got over 50 grams. Now, one of the things about prospecting that I want to emphasize to you guys is you can't just keep going back to the same place. Now, you know, if you have success, yeah, go back. But eventually it'll get to where you're getting skunked and you're hardly getting anything, you know, and that's the time you need to move on. And I was kind of at that place a year ago where I needed to go out and do some research and find some new places. Well, I had good luck with the pocket in Nevada, and then in Northern California, the nugget patch, and I got more than 50 grams. It was 51 and a half or something like that grams out of this new patch. And I'm going to go back to that patch with my detector. But, and I've got some ideas of where to extend it in a different direction that I think will work. But then I'm also going to go back and hit that same area that produced all those nuggets with a bigger coil. Now, for you guys that do metal detecting, big coils see big objects deeper, but they may not do as well. In fact, they won't do as well on the littler objects. So actually a big coil, and the coil I got is 19 inches, big, and it will see bigger nuggets deeper, no doubt. But it won't see the smaller nuggets. It'll actually miss some of the small nuggets that my regular coil would see. So, but it'll still do pretty good. And I'm trolling for those big ones. Okay, I got out of that patch a 13 grammer and a 9 grammer, and then a 6 and a 5 and a 4 and some other stuff. So there was some decent sized nuggets there to be found. And so to troll deeper and see if I couldn't get something deeper, well, I think that's going to pay off for me. And so I'm excited about doing that. And let me show you some of the gold that I found from last year.
Here I was making that quartz find out there in the middle of the Nevada desert. You see all the light colored bleached rhyolite there. But I picked up some nice gold that was sounding off on my gold monster. And here's the quartz I found in that outing. Now the two big pieces there have hardly any of the gold. Most of the gold is in the smaller pieces. The two big pieces just sounded off weakly at one end. But and you can see it's iron stained and all. But if you looked at it in person, you would clearly see that these were little slabs of quartz veins. The vein was maybe an inch plus thick, but it definitely had gold in it. And not every piece had visible gold, but the detector sounded off on all of them. And some of the pieces you could see the gold quite easily. None of that quartz was nice enough to make a good specimen, so I crushed it all down, and here was the button that I got when I was done crushing and panning the material. That's a little over 4 grams. That's a nice bead of gold, and certainly makes it well worth my returning out there to that spot. And here's the nuggets I got off that patch in Northern California. And you can see the gold, for the most part, is pretty coarse, pretty big stuff. And most of it was found down deep. A couple of the smaller pieces were found shallow, but for the most part, the gold was down deep. And that's why I'm hoping that going back with a big coil is really going to net me some more nice nuggets. And even if I don't get anything more or nothing more significant, 1.81 ounces of nuggets is a pretty darn nice find.
Now, I've been doing this for a bunch of years, and I've learned a few things. I've been going out and prospecting for 40 years. I hate to admit it, but it's actually over 40. So I've learned a few things, and stuff that I didn't need to care about when I was in my 20s or even 30s. Yeah, now that I'm in my 60s, I need to care about. So one of the things I've learned is, in the wintertime, I do a lot of sitting around. I don't do as much exercise. I'm not out. There's snow on the ground. I'm not going to go for a hike in the snow. So, and I don't do the winter sports, skiing and stuff like that anymore. So what I need to do is to get in shape. I've found in the past, in recent years, that if I'm a couch potato for 6 months of the year, then I'm going to have problems the first times I get up. I'm going to find my back hurts, and my knees hurt, and I'm going to have a bunch of problems. Muscles hurt. So I need to get in shape and get, a little bit better shape so that when I go out, I can dig and I can, pick and I can, really get stuff in and have the stamina to walk around with my metal detector all day long. I don't have to walk for an hour and then take a break, and walk for half an hour and take another break, and walk for 15 minutes and take another break. If I don't get in shape, that's going to happen. So I've been doing that. I've been getting out and walking and doing some stuff and getting some stuff accomplished. So I feel good about getting out. Like I say, it was out last week, and I'll be out again day after tomorrow, and be able to pick up buckets of dirt or rocks or whatever and take stuff with me and crush it and get the gold out of it. And if it's not in nugget form when it comes out of the ground, it may be like the hard rock pocket I found, it was quartz that came out of the ground. So, and I had to crush it to get the gold out of it. But some of the pieces had visible gold. Some of the pieces, the detector just said, yeah, there's gold in here. And there was. The detector was right. So, I got to be able to get out and really do it. And it's one thing to plan it on your calendar and make sure you have the time set aside. It's another thing to be in shape to actually get out there and really do it. So that's another thing I'm recommending to you guys. Get in shape, because prospecting is hard on couch potatoes. Another thing I've done quite a bit of this year is research during the winter. if I can't get out, then doing research on my computer at home is a worthwhile endeavor. And so I've looked up different areas, and I've done some research, done some claim research, who owns what, and I'm going to be going out and taking a look at some of that stuff. I may have a mine or two that I need to claim, but it's definitely worth getting out and doing the research, because that's going to give you ideas for new finds. And going back to the same place over and over and over and over, you don't normally make new finds. Last year, like I say, that 50-gram nugget patch was in an area that I've worked for years, but I kind of went off, so like I'd worked here for years, but I went over here and tried it. So, it was near the area, but it was a different area. I had not explored this area before, even though it wasn't that much of a distance. It was, a few hundred yards really only away from areas that I had prospected quite a bit. So getting new ideas and thinking about stuff can make a big difference. And a lot of guys, I've done videos on research. In fact, I'll put a link to the recent video I did on research. It's worth thinking about. And a lot of guys will say, "Oh, Chris, I don't want to do that kind of reading and looking at Google Earth and doing all that kind of stuff. That's a pain in the ass. I'd rather watch a football game or basketball game or whatever." And so, if you're not going to do the research, then my recommendation is to join a club. Join a club and let somebody else in the club do the research for you. The club will usually have access to claims, and so you'll be able to get out and do something. You plan your time, get in shape, and then have some place to actually go find some gold. And gold is so high right now. As I'm doing this video, it's over $3,300 US an ounce. It's crazy. A gram is worth, approaching like $110 a gram of gold. That's crazy. It doesn't take a lot of finds to make it worth your while. And I just see a lot of guys who rather play video games, or like I say, watch football, basketball, video games, whatever you're going to do. Get out and get some exercise and find some gold. It's something that's worth the effort, and it's a skill to be learned. And so I want you to get out there and do that research, or join a club and get out there. Another important thing is to get your equipment ready. I have a side-by-side ATV that I haven't run in a couple of years. And so I need to suck all the gasoline out of it, and I'm going to change the spark plugs. I got a new air filter, a new battery for it. So I got to fiddle around with that. That's going to take me a few days. But, I'm going to have it ready. I've got a pocket mine that I don't think I want to try and get to with my truck, but I have no problem going up that little road with an ATV. And so, because I can turn the ATV around on a dime, whereas my 18-foot long truck is not going to turn around on a dime. And the turning radius of the truck is, like 60 feet. It's not really that much, but it's pretty big. So, a little ATV, side by side, that's a great thing. And I really want to get out and use that thing this year. And it's going to take some work. It could take some time. And so one of the things you need to do, like I say, is if you've got equipment that you want to use that isn't quite ready, maybe you broke something, in my trailer that I use for camping a lot in, I got a couple little things I got to repair. And so I've got to get on that too. And another thing I do this time of year is get stuff ready. Like, if I'm going to go camping, well, I get a pack of stuff ready that I will need this, that, and the other thing for camping. Whereas, if I'm just going for a day trip, I don't need all that stuff. But I'm set up so that if I do go on a camping trip, like in a few weeks, I'm going to go out to central Nevada, out to where that pocket that I found last year and got the 4 grams out of. I'm going to go out there and go ahead and do that and but I'll be camping out there. I'll be out there for several days. And so I want to have my camping stuff all ready that I can just load it into the truck and be easily ready to go. I don't have to spend 3 days hunting around for everything. And so I kind of get things out in groups. Like I have a dry wash set up. So I have several things that I can just really quickly grab because they're all basically stored together and set up together if I want to use my dry washer. So there's lots of things like that you can do to prepare and get ready for if you want to get in and do some of that kind of stuff. Now, one of the things I've been talking about, I've talked about in a lot of videos, is metal detecting, and that's one of the things that I do. I do some recirculating sluicing, some river sluicing. I do dry washing, of course, and other things. But I also do one of my main sources of ways to get gold. That's how I found that pocket in Nevada, and it's how I found the new nugget patch in Northern California, was with my metal detector. And a lot of times guys ask about, hey, I'm interested in metal detecting. What's the best one on the market? And then when I tell them that the best one on the market costs almost $9,000, and whoa, wait a second, I was thinking it'd be like $50. And no, the metal detectors worth having and taking out to look for nuggets are not $50 and $75 Chinese coin machines from Amazon. You have to have a certain level of sensitivity and being able to deal with hot rocks to be used as a gold machine. And I've got this machine that I want to show you guys, and I've shown it in other videos, but I'm going to show it now. And that's this machine, the Gold Bug Tracker. I think it's the best machine for new guys. It's $299, which there's going to be guys that can tell me $299, that's a lot of money, and it's not nothing. It's not an insignificant amount of money, but compared to $9,000 or $4,000 or $6,000 or even $3,000, that's a lot cheaper than those. And the truth is, I always tell people, get the best detector you can buy. And so if you have $1,000, maybe you're retired and you're doing okay, and you want to get into metal detecting for nuggets, and spending $1,000 really not that big a deal. Hey, there's other better detectors you could get. If you had $1,000, I'd go with the Gold Monster, okay? It's like $850 or something like that. But I also remember when I was a married guy and on a budget, kids at home and all that kind of stuff, and $299 would have been a big struggle for me. But I actually did. I think I spent $199 on my first detector, but that was close to 30 years ago. And so $199 then and $299 now. It's $299 is probably cheaper than the $199 that I spent back then. So I like this detector, the Gold Bug Tracker. I like the Gold Monster too, if you've got more money for something like that. And hey, if you want to get a pulse induction machine and you can spend $3 or $5, I'm going to do a video here shortly on the 5 best metal detectors on the market for nugget detecting. And it's going to be the 5 best, not the 5 cheapest, but the 5 best. And yeah, they're going to be expensive. I'll mention this thing as an also run probably, or also ran, thing to talk about if you're really on a budget. But my friends at High Plains have this metal detector in stock again. It was out of stock for a while because it's just been so popular. So many guys went out and bought it that, because, hey, at $3,000, $3,300 is what it is, plus today, it would take less than 3 grams of gold to pay for this, which 3 grams is not a lot. Like I say, that one thing in Central Nevada, that was 4 grams. And I had a lot of single nuggets that I got. Of course, I wasn't using this detector when I found that patch in Northern California, but there is gold out there to be found. And a metal detector is a great way to do it. And I recommend it. It ain't easy, okay? It's not an easy thing to go out and find gold with a metal detector. But if you're persistent and you get the hang of it, it can be very productive. But a lot of guys think, the gold nuggets are just go out there with a metal detector and there'll be gold nuggets all over the place that the old timers just threw on the ground and they left there. It doesn't work like that. If you may be seeing videos where guys are finding nuggets, hey, there are nuggets to be found and nuggets being found. It ain't easy, okay? It's not something that you're going to learn the skill of it in one trip or 2 or 10. A lot of guys take a while to really get the hang of it. And it depends on how much work you want to put in. You want to put in a lot of work, you'll learn it faster. You want to not put in a lot of work and, then you're going to learn it in a greater time. But whatever you end up doing, whether it's metal detecting, sluicing, panning, it's going to be great this summer, and whatever gold you find is going to be worth a lot of money, okay? And, finding gold is a skill. And like I say, if you want to learn that skill, I wrote a book. It's called Fistful of Gold. And you can get that book on Amazon. My friends at High Plains had the book, but I think they're out of stock now. But it's available on Amazon. And High Plains has this gold bug tracker. But they also have the Gold Monster, the more expensive one. It's a better detector, honestly it is, but it's almost 3 times the price. So for 3 times the price, it should be a better detector. But this is a good one for new guys. It has automatic ground balance and other features. And I've done videos on this, the gold bug tracker, and I'll put a link up there to the other video that I did on the gold bug tracker so that you can kind of see it. And I'm going to be doing ones in the field in the coming months where I'm out in the field with my gold bug, with the gold bug tracker, using it, trying to find some gold with it, and just talking about how to get the best out of it. But anyway, if you want to find more about finding gold, if you want to learn more, if you want to get that skill, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my book and about my friends at High Plains right now. This is my book, Fistful of Gold. It's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know to go out and find gold for yourself. It distills down my 45 years of experience out in the field prospecting, as well as my degree in mine engineering. It's, like I say, an encyclopedia. There's a lot to it. It's over 250,000 words long, hundreds of pages with hundreds of illustrations, teaching you what you need to know about geology, about mining districts, about techniques of finding gold. It covers metal detectors, sluicing, panning, dry washing, high bankers, you name it, it's covered in there. It talks some about platinum and diamonds, but it's mostly about gold because gold is more widespread. It is not so much a book about where to find gold, but a book about how to find gold. Because even if you have a location where gold was mined in the past and you go out there, well, where should you look to be successful in your prospecting, to find the gold that's there? This is the book that's going to tell you that information. I spent most of 10 years writing this book, so I thought a long time about it. It's got, like I say, lots of information and lots of illustrations, and I've had results from people who bought it. It's available on Amazon, but I recommend buying it through High Plains Prospectors, and I'll put a link in the description for buying this book through them. They have a better price than Amazon, and I have a special deal that I'll tell you a little bit more about, where you can get a 5% discount from the price even with that. On Amazon, the book rates a 4.7 out of 5, which means that of all the people that have bought it, they've been really highly satisfied, and I think you, if you buy my book, will be just as highly satisfied as well. Now let's talk a little bit more about High Plains Prospectors. They're a prospecting shop, a mail order prospecting shop that I've partnered with. The deal is that I can get you a 5% discount, a coupon code, and I'm going to put the code to that right here. It's just Chris Ralph, all caps with no space between Chris and Ralph. You put that in there as a discount code and you'll get 5% off their already really good prices. I think it's a great deal where you win by getting a discount, I get a little percentage of that, and they get new business. So if you need prospecting supplies, High Plains is really the way to go. And I'll put information, like I say, in the description more about how you can work with them, because I'm working with them. They really are great guys, a great company. For even more information, I also have a website, and I'm going to show you my webpage and talk a little bit more about that right now.
This is my webpage. It's located at NevadaOutbackGems.com. You can Google it, or I have a link down in the description below. But there's lots of information here, miscellaneous stuff, pictures, some historic information as well, stories. It's got a lot of great fun stuff. You'll probably be interested in it.
Now, on all of my YouTube videos, I encourage you guys to ask questions. If you have thoughts, comments, suggestions for things that I ought to look at in my videos, things that you want to find out more about, and I answer 100% of my questions. There's not very many YouTubers out there that answer 100% of their questions. I'm one of the few. And so I will do my best to answer what you have. I mean, I only can write so much. Sometimes the answer is something where I'm going to recommend that you buy the book and read about it. I also ask that you subscribe to my channel, click the bell notification so that every time I come out with a new video, you'll be able to watch it. And like I say, I cover a huge amount of topics. I also have 250 videos that I've already done. And so you can go back through my catalog of videos on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be many videos there that you'll want to take a look at, especially if you have any interest in gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, geology, and that sort of stuff. My YouTube site is going to be right up your alley. So I'll see you again real soon. We'll be out in the field and back in the office at the whiteboard, and whether we're looking at gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, or other interesting geology, it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it, and we'll see you again real soon.